I'm John Luebtow. This is my retrospective exhibition at the Lois Lambert Gallery. It deals with approximately 50 years of my work in the medium of glass. First piece that you see when you enter the retrospective is this form. It's called Ode to the Twin Towers. And the idea for me was the two columnar forms representing the Twin Towers, and then the 13 red and white stripes representing the original 13 colonies. The interior blue form has the 50 stars and stripes on it. And so the concept was that the original concept in our government would protect and care for our country in the future. So we start moving down a little bit. These first two pieces are models for projects. This was a Hollywood Roosevelt Hotel, 6 by 8 feet by a foot deep. My philosophy has always been I wanted to make things big. So I started developing ideas of how can I make these pieces huge. So the only way that the things could be done, just because of the technical quality, is you could bend the glass into shapes, because you couldn't blow and fabricate 10-foot tall pieces. So I built furnaces to develop that technique. This one wasn't really big, but at the time, architecturally, it was unique. So from that piece then, I started getting into some really larger pieces. This piece deals with a lobby in Del Mar. So when you walk through and enter the lobby, there's 4 panels that you see, and you walk between those panels, and as you see in the sample, when you walk by the glass undulates and moves. And so when these pieces are opposite each other, it's kind of that reflective quality of infinity. Move down to these forms, and you can now begin to see the application of the material integrated with the clay form underneath. So I make the clay form first. The clay form then is put in the kiln. The flat glass is laid over it, and then the glass begins to move and to slump. This piece has the porcelain hands and feet from a model. And these are some continuing pieces. I had male and female models. And so we made the ceramic forms. And then over the ceramic form, then once they were bisque fired, then we laid the glass in different placements and different positions as these show. So this is ceramic male, and this is a ceramic female form. What I brought out with this is the form coming out of the wall. Okay, this is what really excited me. So as you see the contour lines on these forms, one of my visual discoveries was to take this form and make it by itself. And then this one is just a female form. And once again, you see the beauty of that line, total visual quality. This thing that I loved about this glass was the way it changes. It's a perfect mirror when it's flat, but when you heat it, you get all these rainbow effects and different colors transitioning out of the pieces. So just simply from the abstract origin of ideas, and I just got into all kinds of directions, and then just the rapidity of the simple waveform, which actually just starts with the simple soft short direction here, and then I thought, well, let's make waves. So I made waves, and these are just pursuits and ideas around this linear form series dealing with just the waves and then how they refract and reflect light because of what the glass contains and does. And you can see that the sides of the glass is really exciting just as much as the fronts of the pieces. And then I thought, I love the idea of just that linear multiple quality. So I made a series of small wall pieces. And this is just an exploration of those pieces, the different ways you can treat line, the different ways you use the mold, because these are slumped in a form, in the kiln. Okay, so this is another significant direction for me. Environmentally, these materials are relatively permanent. So that's why I use stainless, granite sometimes, stone, ceramic, and glass, permanent materials. This is a model for a maquette in Orange County. Ended project was 24 feet deep, 36 feet wide, and 12 feet high. and it's a lobby, and you walk through the lobby to get to the elevators. So this is now beginning just to explore some other ideas. So these are all things that I was playing with the quality of line and the arc form. And then in here, there's incredibly detailed etchings with different shapes. So this is another simple linear form. One of the things you can see with this piece, when you get a little closer and you move by it, you can see the molding patterns that are created with the undulating lines and then these lines. Okay, so there's a lot of visual access that you can create by movement. My bigger projects are the same way. Movement is an essential part of it. You know, movement, light, sound, all of these things are integrated into the work in my mind, and then hopefully I can make that transition to pieces. Now, this is the third aspect of my work, social comment art that expresses the way I feel about what's going on in the world today. So that began as a little kid, not so much didn't affect me until the Vietnam War. And it was a selective service at that time, and we would be drafted to go to Vietnam. You didn't have a choice. So the way to avoid that at that time was with a student deferment. This is obviously, you see the drawing. I started feeling what was happening in the world around me and how was I and the world and everything politically, environmentally, socially being affected. So all of those things, are floating around in the world and in my brain, and I'm thinking, how do I express that? So I felt that the constriction and the visual torture that this could portray was really essential. So I figured out how to do these pieces, and then I got into the flags. This one was a proposal for a monument to the unknown soldier, and it's just titled Why. And then this is Ode to Gridlock Congress. Okay, and when in our political history have we not had a gridlock Congress? So this is a large 1-inch thick slump flag, and the point is that this is totally permanent material. This can be outside, and it will be there for eons. The color, it's a paint-on enamel, and you paint it on before you bend the piece, and then that all fires into the piece, and it's permanent. This was another maquette for a huge project we just finished a few years back, and in Century City. This is a glass fountain, which deals with all of the elements. At night, it's lit differently. The daylight light and the nighttime light change the pieces totally. So this one, the whole fountain is 55 feet long, 11 plus feet high, and 15 feet deep. Once again, we have that quality of the line. The essence of the form is linear. The surfaces are treated with geometric forms, squares, rectangles, triangles, lines. So these are the first blown pieces while studying at UCLA in the graduate program there. So this was just exploring simple forms. And then these have painted color, fired on color inside glass enamels. And then they reflect and create an abstraction, because when you look at the pieces, it looks like there's color on both sides, but there's not. And you can see that in this too. You can see the multiple reflective and refractive qualities. This is what excited me all my life. The qualities of glass that no other material has. Okay, this is a maquette for a project. This was a small fountain for a private client. And actually I did one similar to this for Florida Atlantic University. I'm back into just once again, the quality of the shape and the material. But I love the reflective, polished visual quality of this material. And this piece, once again, has all of the forms, the beautiful linear qualities of my pursuits in art. And when you deal with this translucency and transparency, when you're looking through one square onto another square onto a line, you see all kinds of shapes, multiple shapes that just appear and explode because of glass. Okay. And this one is absolutely an origin from the drawing of the back of a female nude. And then these are now a little more political pieces. This is hung out to dry. That's what we're doing to the flag. We're hanging it out. This is, what have we done to the flag again? We destroyed our political strength and our political power. Democracy, it's in a difficult situation today. Well, this one is, we found the WMDs. I am the decider, stay the course, I will not withdraw, bring them on. That was a famous quote at this period in 2004. Now, this one is as a comment on POTUS. It's ode to POTUS. How has our country been affected by the presidents that we've had? This is another one. What have we done to get where we are? The idea that the cable wrap, having great difficulty with our world today, the constant constriction in countries around the world, and in our country. What are the rights that we have? Are they being affected? And how are they being affected? The inspiration for this piece, Ode to the Evangelicals in the Christian Church, came from Pledge of Allegiance of the Flag of America. At 1954, during the Eisenhower administration, the terms under God were at that time, the relationship between the church and the state was that any religion was accepted. Now, as I see things changing, specifically in the past several years, it's now that the church wants to control the government. So this is another one dealing with how do we get out being constricted and how did we get where we are? And the beauty of this piece for me is the reflective quality of the inside multiplying the pieces. And then these are some little studies on shapes and forms. I just love what happens with the glass. They're fun, but they visually capture the quality of the material. Transparency, translucency, reflective quality, the inner mirror quality of the pieces. One of the important things for me in this exhibition is that I was allowed to deal with the evolution of idea and form. And so when you enter, you get the whole feeling, and you can move around, and then you get all of my feelings and explorations of the beautiful things, the female nude forms, and then the social political comment forms. So that's what I'm about, and that's where I have arrived. And being 80 years old, I'm still moving on to keep exploring new ideas. Thank you. Peace and love.